Grant Hall has given us a call on the Lewis Automotive Hotline. It's not a Wednesday. We'll be talking with Grant on Wednesday, but he's got something for us. Grant, what's up?
Well, I may be in the air Wednesday. I'm going to the beach in Charlotte, so I'm not sure. I got to check my itinerary. But the question I have, I could have asked you this off the air, Phil. Hunter Dietz was credited with 2/3 of an inning pitched, and yet he got 3 outs, counting the strikeout. I mean, isn't it possible to get 4 outs? Sometimes you get 4 strikeouts in an inning.
Oh, yeah.
So did they just credit him with 2/3 to make the box score balance, or?
He only got 2/3 of an inning. You don't get credit, Grant. You don't get credit for the out for the strike. You get credit for the strikeout, but not the out on a drop third strike.
Okay.
Yeah, so he got credit for a strikeout, but he didn't get credit for the actual out.
And then the other thing is, the rundown play. They didn't charge an error on that, which makes a difference because Dietz has now given up 1 earned, so his ERA is not very good, where it would be 0 if there was an error charged. And so my question is, if you're the official, it's harder and harder to get charged an error these days. You've noticed that, right? But so Helfrich runs the ball down, and then you're supposed to, in a rundown, you run toward the runner, right? He did as much as he could. Then he threw to third base. The third baseman at the time, Robinette, made a tremendous play just to stop the ball on one hop, right? He made a great play to save it from going off. And then he threw high to the plate. It was a bang-bang play, just like the day before at the plate. And did you think that, first of all, that Arkansas might challenge the call? Because people say that they thought he was safe when they slowed it down, right?
Yeah, I thought he was safe to the naked eye on the one that run ruled him on Saturday. I also, I mean, look, I understand you can probably come from behind. You got a couple of innings to do it, but I'm just not sure if that's a call that you really need to be challenging. They looked like they were sleepwalking through that game, Grant, Saturday.
Well, yeah, it's whether it's going to be a run rule game or play 2 more innings, But back to the official scoring part. So usually you're not charged an error if they're like in a rundown. You see all the time guys get out of a rundown, but unless there's a misplay involving a bad throw or a drop ball or something like that, they don't charge an error. But in this case, the runner had gone back to third, right, and the advance was over until the low, as I saw it, at least on TV, the low and wide throw, and that encouraged the runner to come on home where he was safe. So, seeing all that, would you charge the catcher with an error, or would you let it go without an error?
It looked to me like the runner might have been trying to stop and come back to the plate when Helfrich got rid of the ball. It was a really bad throw, but it also didn't get past Robinette, and it didn't. So, I mean, I can see it from the scorer's perspective, but I can also see it from the perspective of he probably doesn't score if the throw's on the money, and then you end up catching him in a rundown. And you say, well, you can't assume the rundown, but yesterday they LSU picks off Justin Thomas Jr., and the only reason he wasn't out on the throw to second base is because the ball hit him in the back of the head. He got credit for a steal, and a lot of times, even though the throw truly was a good throw, but because it hit the runner, I've seen the fielder get an error on plays like that, and they didn't charge an error yesterday. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's just more difficult to charge errors these days. I think having TrackMan and being able to see exactly how fast a ball came off somebody's bat may be one reason why there are more hits given than errors off batted balls. But in this situation, that has nothing to do with it. So I'm not really sure what the scorer was thinking, Grant.
Well, we're probably pretty far into the weeds on that. I think probably the more important thing about the weekend to me is you've got Parker Coyle and Hunter Dietz looking quite viable as useful pitchers toward postseason. And to me, that changes the equation, I think, a lot in terms of expectation for Arkansas, don't you think? I do.
I mean, these are, first of all, they're left-handed. I trust Coyle more than Dietz just because he's been in more pressure moments. But Dietz's stuff, as long as he's ready to be in tight situations, his stuff will pitch against just about anybody. And speaking of Helfrich, I mean, Ryder batting fifth yesterday, that's the highest Helfrich has ever hit in the batting order. 2 doubles, 2 walks. He had some really good at-bats. That's somebody who, Vieva didn't have a great series, but Arkansas got production from Helfrich, and his hitting yesterday is a major reason why they won the ball game. Plus, he caught the full game, and it was all 6 pitchers. And Justin Thomas Jr. has taken over the team lead in on-base percentage. That happened after the first game of the series in Baton Rouge. I mean, these are 2 guys that sometimes don't get talked about very much because it's all about the Aloys and Davalon and Cam Kojal. But watch for Helfrich and Thomas because right now they're playing their best. They're hitting their best of the season.
Yeah, that turned out to be a genius move by Dave Van Horn, moving him up to the 5-hole. Really, it almost sounded like kind of on a hunch before the game, because as he was writing out the lineup card, hey, this might work, and it did, obviously.
So, Grant, where are you flying to Wednesday?
Charlotte. The PGA Championship starts Thursday at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's kind of intriguing that Rory McIlroy has at least he's the guy with a chance for the Grand Slam this year, having won the only one they've played so far. And but there are a lot of other guys playing well. Obviously, I mean Justin Thomas and Scheffler's playing. He's coming off a win, and Spieth 2 tournaments ago had a 62, and DeChambeau, what's he going to do coming off the Live Tour? It's a big ballpark. I think it's about 7,600 yards, which favors longer hitters, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Grant, can you tell me, what makes the PGA Championship stand out amongst the majors? Well, you know that the U.S. Open is a little different, the Masters is different, obviously the British Open is different. What makes the PGA Championship unique?
It's funny, Phil. It probably used to be sort of considered the afterthought one. It was the last one of the year, and I think now that it's second, it kind of has a little bit more relevance. It's earlier in the golf season. It's in May, great weather. It's not 100 degrees in August like it could have been many other times. So, it still has 20 club professionals, and some people think that weakens it. At one time, it was 40 club professionals. It's gone down through the years, and of course one of those this year is Michael Block, the guy that made such a splash a couple of years ago with the hole-in-one and all that stuff. He's back in it, but I don't know. To me, probably it would still be 4th out of 4, but this year I think with what Rory's done, it's got a little bit more buzz.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.